How?
Oh, stop.
Got him. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Backyard. Today, as you can see, we're going to be working on the Canam. Please excuse the dirtiness of this Canam. I have not had a chance to wash it. It's so nasty. But essentially what we're going to do today is we're going to install some lighting. We already have lighting on these mirrors right here with the X-Bright ones. But they just don't cut it for off-roading at night. So we're going to install a big 50-inch light bar up here, and then a smaller 12-inch light bar down here. On the top one's going to be an LED light bar, a white LED light bar, and this bottom one's going to be an amber LED light bar. Reason we want an amber one is last time we went riding with the white LEDs on those X-Bright ones, the mirror pods, it just was really hard to see because it reflects all the dust coming out. So the amber one should help with that. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. Let me show you everything that we're installing right now. All right, so here we have everything that we're gonna be installing today. A couple light bars. So first we're gonna install this amber light bar on the shock tower from Lasfit. It came with this female connector, but what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this and splice it into our wiring harness that we have here. Sorry, English is my second language. And it comes with this wired LED light bar rocker switch that we'll put in the Canam in one of the slots. And we're gonna be mounting it to the shock tower. So we have this shock tower mount. I'll show you how to put that on. Then we have this RGB chase light Nicoko light bar. So the big bulbs in the middle, they're white LEDs, and then this strip here is a chasing RGB light. So essentially you can change it different colors, different modes, strobe, chase, or whatever, with either this remote here or Bluetooth app. And it comes with this weak ass switch pre-installed, this 2-prong switch. And we are going to attempt to wire it to this rocker switch. I have no idea if we're going to be successful, but we're going to try. But before we try that, we're going to wire it all up and make sure it works with this 2-prong switch here. And to mount this is a 50-inch. We got some 50-inch brackets from Amazon here. I'll put the links to everything, all this stuff, in the description below in case you guys want to install the same stuff. So we got everything we need here for the shock tower light bar. We are, as I mentioned, gonna need to splice this so we can tap into here. But let me show you how to do that. First, we're gonna mount this bracket and get all this situated on here, and then we'll start routing wire. So I'll show you how to mount this first. So this is what the bracket looks like when you take it out. Basically, these bottom holes right here is where it mounts to the shock tower, and these holes are where you mount to your hardware for the light bar. I'm gonna set it aside real quick. But basically, we want to tap into this right here. And to do that, we got to pop this out. Literally, it's just some grommet and pin, so you just literally pull it. Just be careful not to break the plastics. You snap it in the wrong spot. And that's what I meant. It's just some pins and grommets, and you can set that aside. Shout out Harbor Freight. Yeah, it's a mess. I was trying to find the 10, but we got it now. So we're gonna put it onto our ratchet and just go to town on these. All right, so you want to save these screws because you're gonna reuse them. I did it off camera just because I needed 2 hands. But I find the best way to do it is to place this on the back of where you took the screws off. So in between this bracket here and this mount right here, this metal mount, just kind of align it with the holes, force it in there a little bit, and then put your screws back in. All right, we got this installed. Make sure you don't over tighten these, because one, you don't want to split your grommets too much, and you don't want to crack the plastic either. So just tight enough so that this doesn't move around and it's like nice in place. It's good enough. So kind of like almost a little bit more than finger tight, I would say, and you should be good. So now we're gonna go on to adding the light bar. So this Lasfit light bar comes with a bunch of brackets, so you can install however you want. I think we're gonna use these and those supplied bolts to mount onto the shock mount, and then use some of these bolts to mount onto that light bar, because these, I believe, fit into the holes on the sides here. So we're gonna try that real quick and come back. So I'll show you how to mount these first, and we'll go from there. All right, so I installed these brackets with the supplied hardware that came with the Lasfit light bar. Basically, they're the ones with the curve right here, and then the two mounting points. We're gonna mount to the furthest one. Right now, I just tighten these finger tight, just in case I need to manipulate them a little bit. And we're gonna use the supplied hardware that came with the light bar as well to mount into these holes. So it comes with some bolts, spacers, and washers. So we're gonna see how to make it work, but these should kind of compress in and hold the light bar in place, and then we can rotate it to the angle that we want once we have it all hooked up. So we've got the light bar in now. I got a little loose just so I can position it. Go ahead and tighten it after, once we decide the proper positioning. Now that that's done, we can go ahead and put our cover back on. Really just snap it back into place. Line it with your grommet. Sorry, it's kind of hard with one hand. I don't have a helper today. So the next step is to get our wiring harness in there. So to do that and access the bus bar, we gotta remove the passenger seat first. And that's pretty easy. So we want to access the bus bar right here, as you've seen before in previous videos, to connect to the accessory power. We did that with these mirrors here. You can see the cables. I got to reroute these eventually through in here. I just got lazy when we were camping. So yeah, to do that, you just take out the bolts here, and then there's a couple bolts in the back of the seat right there. You can see the little brass ones. So I'm gonna take those out real quick. I got my little Milwaukee impact to help us make it a little faster. So I'm gonna go ahead and take those out and be right back. All right, so the seat is off. Put the bolts back in place just so we don't lose them, or not the bolts, the nuts. And this is where we got to access. The seat, we didn't take it fully out. We just kind of moved it up and out of the way because it's mounted here, the seat belt harness, or the seat harness. And I don't want to have to take that out and put it back in. So kind of just lifted it up and moved it off to the side out of the way so we can access that part right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with the rocker switch end. And we have a couple different spots we can put it. We can put it right here. We have an open slot here, an open slot here. I think for this one, since it's only gonna be for really dark night riding and we're not gonna always access it, I'm gonna put it right here. I think that's the best spot for it right now. Kind of a little bit hidden. And then the light bar up here, just because it looks cool, and maybe sometimes we want the RGB showing and we'll use it more often, I'm going to put that one right here. So I'm going to go ahead and mount this and then start routing the wires. And to take this out, so there's two clips, top and bottom. You kind of press them in and this just pushes out like that. So now we grab our harness, we look for the switch end right here, and basically this is connected through this wire right here. So we're going to separate those wires. Now that it's separated, we got the switch end right here, and then the rest of the harness right there. We're just gonna feed this through here. And we can pop this switch in place. We have our switch in place now. Flips. Got the harness towards the back. So now we're gonna route the rest of it. Before we do that, we gotta choose what fuse we want to go in here. The kit came with a bunch of different ones. You can go on a calculator and look at the watts of that thing. I don't remember exactly the full calculation. I'll post it right here, but we want to use the 15 amp fuse, and I'll post a link to that site that I used. You can just Google it, and that'll tell you what fuse you need depending on what power outage and wiring you have. All right, so now we're gonna work our way backwards and access here the bus bar. Gonna hook up our positive and negative. I think these might be a little too big for the ring terminals we have, but we'll kind of crush them a little bit and make it work. Best thing you can do is buy some different ones and crimp them on here that fit, but we're gonna go the cheap route. So to take this panel out, literally there's just some clips right here. It's just lift and pull out. So I was missing a 10 millimeter and I just found it. I never took it out of here, and I'm surprised it was hanging on that nut this whole time. Been riding and everything, and it's just chilling on there. All right, so we got our leads here. So when we hook them up, this ground is obviously going to go to ground, and the power we're going to hook up to the accessory as we typically do. So to show you, ground, accessory, because if you plug into accessory, it will only turn on when your key is turned on. If you power it on here, it'll always be drawing power from the battery, and you'll have to remember to turn your switch on and off. So in that case, if we forget, it'll just turn off automatically when the whole machine is down. We also unclipped that so we can get access through, and I started rerouting the other wires from my side view lights. That way it's a lot cleaner. So for now, while we find some ring 10 terminals, we just snipped them to make them fit. These come with like really big ones for some reason because they're meant to fit on car batteries. But obviously we don't have a car battery here. We have a Canam battery, which uses these smaller nuts. But we're not going to hook them up yet. We're just going to route them because we still need to install the light bar. So we're going to get these routed, then get started on the light bar. And then once we have everything routed, we'll wire everything together because it doesn't make sense to screw the nut in, screw it out, and keep on going back and forth. All right, so we have everything routed. We got our positive negative lead right here. They reach the battery. Everything's basically following this harness here and going through onto the other side. We've got our switch hooked up. We can clean everything up a little bit later once we have the other light bar routed and everything mounted. We'll zip tie it all to make it look clean. Now we're gonna work on this side so we can figure out how to route this to the driver's side. And before we do that, we're gonna cut this off right here so we can connect it to our harness. Snip. So this guy, garbage. So we got two wires there that we can now strip and cut out. So we've got our wires exposed now. We'll strip those later once we're ready to connect. All right, so to route the wire, we kind of put it under through here, and then if you look right there, there's a grommet that goes into the cabin. So I found this old charging cable that I have that's like 10 feet fucking long, and I fed it through there and found it on the other side. So found it right here, and then we zip tied it to the harness that we need on that side. So we're just gonna feed it through, hopefully it holds, and we'll find it on the other side. All right, moment of truth. Just gonna pull and hope for the best. I felt something go through. I feel some tension. I think what I can do is cut that zip tie and then replace it. All right, so I was getting a little resistance pulling it out because it's kind of caught right here. So I just removed the zip tie to open this up. We're gonna pull it out and then put a new zip tie. Yeah, you see how it was getting caught right there? It was pulling that wire and didn't want to come through. So just be cautious of that. And now we have it all the way through. All right, so here it's pretty simple. We got both ends of the wire now passed through that grommet, and the kit comes with these male connectors that are meant to go into this female. So we're gonna strip this, crimp this on there, and plug it in. All right, so word of advice, get yourself some quality crimpers. I ripped the fuck out of this one right here because my crimpers like kind of went sideways. This one's fine, but yeah, these suck. These are some cheap ass Home Depot ones. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some electric tape around each one, just to make sure there's no contact with any other metal, just to be extra safe. So we got that electric tape. Basically what I did is I wrapped each one in electric tape individually. So the black one I wrapped it, red one I wrapped it, then I wrap it together, just to kind of keep them from dangling apart. And this is good practice. Best is to use heat shrink tubing, but we didn't have any. All I had was some red electric tape laying around. This helps keep it clean, keep it away from water and from anything really touching each other without you wanting it to. So we're pretty much wrapped up with this light bar. All that's left is to hook it up to the battery, clean up the wiring. As you can see here, we have everything in there. We're gonna zip tie that so it's nice and tight around those wires. But before we do that, we're gonna mount the 50-inch light bar here first so we can hook everything up to the battery, test it out, and go from there. So yeah, got fucking cold, so I had to put on a hoodie. But we have these brackets right here. They're just some cheap Chinese shit from Amazon. And we're gonna install these first and then bring the light bar to install. So this is what the brackets look like. They're kind of cool. I like the little X3 laser cut they got there. But essentially these are gonna mount here on the roll cage. Boom. So this left one is fixed. This right one has some tilt angle depending how high or low you want to put the light bar. So we're gonna mount the hardware and then get to installing the light bar on top. So I'm gonna put this bolt in, but we have a problem. Yeah, that's not gonna tighten. The threads don't go all the way through. So we're gonna have to make a quick stop to the auto part or hardware store to get the right bolts. Took wifey's whip to O'Reilly's and we found these bolts. Got some 1/4 inch 20 thread, 2.5, so hopefully these work out. All right, so those bolts fit in perfectly. We kind of just lined it up to be centered. I didn't really want to play around with the angle, but those bolts just barely fit, barely made the cut. So we're gonna install the other one. Then I'm gonna get some dinner because I'm hungry as fuck. And if it's not too dark out, we'll continue with the light bar today. If not, we'll continue tomorrow. All right, y'all, so it's day 2. Got dark on us last night. We still did a little bit of work. You can see right there, we got the light bars both installed. So we got everything hooked up and wired in. Nothing too crazy. I'll show you right now kind of what we did. So I showed you already how I hooked this one up. Basically wired up right here. You can see the red tape and put it through that grommet. I still need to put a zip tie to kind of hold that all in place. This one here, basically tightening it down with these brackets. I still need to tighten it a little bit, but it's pretty on there, pretty good. And then we basically went backwards on this one. We started from the bus terminal down here. If I can open this and show you real quick. So you can see right there, we got everything wired in, and the nut that already in there. There's that box right there is the Bluetooth controller for the RGB light bar up top. So basically we got all the reds in the accessory bus, all the blacks on the ground, and we ran it through the same location. So basically just following in here, we already closed it up. So it follows in here. You basically just take this off and this off and wired it up through here. We tucked away the other ones that we had exposed. I just need to put the clips back on to hide that gap, and moved everything on this side. So we have this switch right here for the LED light bar for the front amber one, and then this switch here is what we need to change to a rocker switch. So we tested this out already. We tested the app, it works perfect. I'll show you how we made this work after we finish this up. But I think the next step is we're gonna try to hook this up to a rocker switch instead of this. I think I know how to do it. I'm gonna test it, and if it works, I'll show you guys. If not, we're gonna keep this for now. All right, so the way these switches typically work is you have your battery power up top and you have your accessory wired to the bottom. So this is coming directly from the battery. This bottom one would basically be the red wire coming from here. So when you hit it, it accesses the battery power and it turns on. You turn it off, it causes an open circuit. So now no power is coming through here. Power basically just shorts right there. So I think what we can do, we have this rocker switch here. This goes to ground. Since our light bar is already grounded, I think we can kind of ignore this. Maybe not, I don't know, I'm not an electrical guy. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna try to ground it on some bolt in the Canam. And then these two, what we can do, I believe the top one goes to the battery and the bottom one to accessory. So basically the top one will be the black wire from that switch. The bottom one will be the red wire. So we're gonna hook that up and see if it works. All right, so we got the light bar to work with the rocker switch. So when it's off, the bottom words are lit up just so you can see them at night. And when you turn it on, the top lights up and this turns on. So off, on, off, on. We're good. We had a little bit of difficulty figuring out the wiring, but we got it. I'm going to show you right now how to do that. So basically, the ground is very important. We thought it didn't matter, but it definitely does. We put, so the wires were switched. So I know originally I told you put the black on top and the red on the bottom, but it's switched. Do the red on the top and the black on the bottom. The red will be to your battery, the black will be to your accessory. And then this is how you wire the rocker switch if you want the bottom light on when you turn on the key. And then this is how you wire the ground. And to wire the ground, we basically just tapped into one of our other switches. We added a jumper, as you can see here. And I had this switch right here for the pod lights. So I added a jumper here, and then that connects to the wire that goes to the pod light ground. And that's about it. So now we can pop these back in and we're good to go. And just got to tidy up all our wiring here, all this bullshit. And then this one we rewired too, so that you can see there the light is on when it's off, and then when you turn it on, both of them are on, and then that guy is on. It's daytime, so it's kind of hard to see, but you get the point. All right, y'all, so we finished up everything. All the wiring's tucked in, it's all up in here. Light bars are set and good to go. There's Julie in the back seat. Everything's wired up. Danny right there, getting ready to go camping. But yeah, that about wraps it up. We'll show you some videos of these on at night, and it's a wrap. Thanks for watching, everyone. Stay blessed. Peace.